are going to travel through time and space back to 1995. I am going to show you how I did my makeup when I was in high school. I went to high school in Southern California. Torrance is where I grew up, and I graduated in 1997. And I have some very distinct memories of how I did my makeup in high school. And I think I started wearing makeup maybe in 8th grade, so that's like right before I went to high school, 7th, 8th grade. And I remember some specific products I used. I definitely remember the overall look I had, but just to prove all that, I found some photos. And the fashion here, I haven't seen these pictures actually in a really long time, and we have some gems. So here we have me. I'm the one in the center in a kind of purple knit, kind of slightly goth looking outfit, bodycon dress, I guess. And I did have some disastrous short haircuts in the 90s. You might not be able to see, but I am wearing a choker necklace. I might have had a wardrobe of chokers, maybe, I don't know. And quickly, this picture's shiny, so it might be hard to see, but here I am in some high-waisted jeans. But those weren't high-waisted jeans in the 90s, those were just jeans. And finally, so you can really get a good look at the makeup, this is my school picture. My mom wrote 95 on it, but it might have been 96. That doesn't seem right to me, so I'm not sure. So it might have been my sophomore year in high school, my second year, and you can really kind of see that was pretty much my makeup look all throughout those years and into college. So that is what we're going for today. Now, the 90s were a good time, right? I loved Dawson's Creek. I loved The X-Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Felicity. I loved, and I still do love to this day, my favorite musician is Tori Amos. I love her. Liz Phair, I was into her in high school. Alanis Morissette, of course, I loved Jagged Little Pill. I loved Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Definitely the 90s Seattle grunge scene. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Okay, that's enough reminiscing. Let's get down to the makeup and let's see if I can recreate my mid-90s high school look. Throughout high school and even into college, I know that I used a little eyeshadow trio that I believe was from Maybelline. And it was all brown, warm earth tones. Earth tones were so huge in the 90s. So many people just wore neutral shades on their eyes. And I went to the drugstore and I looked at Maybelline, I looked at pretty much all the brands, trying to find something that matched up to what I remember using in this eyeshadow trio. And I really couldn't find it. Like, it's amazing how things have changed in the past 15 years or so. There's so much more shimmer now. That's really the norm, and back then things tended towards mattes or just maybe a little bit of a satin finish, but now everything's shimmery. And so what I'm going to use to dupe that is my Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette, which I'm sure you've seen before. And I'm only going to use 3 colors because I use those 3 colors from the trio, and I even remember using the back of the package, and it told you, put this shade in your crease, put this shade on your lid. And that's kind of one of the ways I learned how to use eyeshadows and how to do my makeup. So I'm going to use this brown, just a neutral brown shade for my crease right here. I'm going to use this taupey shade right here for my lid, and I'm going to use the highlight shade, the champagne-y shade, for my brow bone and my inner corner. And you know what? I'm actually not going to use it for my inner corner because I know I didn't know that trick back then. I probably learned it sometime in college, maybe later. But the other thing is that I remember always using the little applicator that came with my eyeshadow trio. And I know it had just like a sponge on both sides, and the Wet n Wild one has a little brush. So we'll see what we can do. Now, the other thing that of course I didn't have in the 90s was eyelid primer. And as I've gotten older, my skin has just gotten drier, so if I try to put shadow on without primer, no matter how high-end the shadow may be, it just doesn't go on, the color doesn't stay true. I just have really dry eyes. So I need to use my primer or else you won't see anything on my face, truly. Got my primer on, so I'm going to try to use this sponge and put some of this taupe color onto my lid. And oh, that's actually going on just fine. I mean, I'm sure these applicators do work fine. I just haven't used them in so long. You know, since I started using makeup brushes, why would I go back? But you totally can. Alright, that's good. I'm really trying to channel my high school self. Like, I have an image of myself in, you know, the high school bathroom before first period, like standing there in the mirror, you know, with, of course, other girls there too, trying to finish up my makeup, because I was always running late for school, trying to get my mascara on in time so I could get to class. I'm trying to channel that girl. Alright, I'm putting the champagne color on my brow bone, and it's really shimmery. Okay, let me try to use the brush for that. I know this is much more shimmery than what I would have had, and the highlight shade that I would have had in my little 90s palette might have even been matte. Alright, I'm going to go back to the sponge, and with the dark brown color on the other side of my little spongy, I'm going to try to get into the crease. And in high school, when I was first trying to buy makeup at the drugstore, I was perpetually frustrated because I do have olive skin, and I felt like all the colors were for people with very fair skin. If anything was too light, I was like, I can't wear that. It won't show up on me. It won't look right on me. Like, anything pinkish, I wouldn't wear. So I always found it really hard to find makeup, and that's certainly why I gravitated toward the browns, warm browns, because I could at least get a brown to show up on my face. It's also probably why at some point in high school, I got my mom to take me, you know, to the mall and to the Lancome counter and, you know, shop for some makeup and get matched. She probably bought me some things, and then I'm sure I bought things with my own money. I did have a job in high school, thank goodness. And what I'd love to do right now is take some of this below my eyes and my lower lash line, but I know I didn't know that trick in high school. I'm not going to do it. Even though I wanted to stick with 3, I'm going to try this shade, adding a little bit of this to my eyelid, because I feel like the taupe and the champagne up here are just too similar. But now this is pretty similar to the brown. Oh, that's working. But this is basically what I did, and I always wore eyeshadow. For me, and I think it's because I do have slightly hooded eyelids, or eyes, I always felt that I needed eyeshadow to really look my best. So that's the most important part of my makeup routine finished. Now, I would have done mascara next. I never wore eyeliner in high school. I would try occasionally, but I didn't really know how to use it. And they didn't have those great, like, felt tip formulas, or certainly not gel liners. For mascara, I remember having L'Oreal Voluminous, just the classic Voluminous. I hope I'm not just making that up, but that's what I remember. And I don't use that anymore. I'm just going to use my Maybelline XXL. Now for makeup, I at some point did make it to a Lancome counter, and I got myself some of their dual finish pressed powder foundation, and that is a great foundation. They still make it. I think it's pretty much the same as it ever was, and I don't know what I used before that, but that is what I remember using, and I used it through college and even after college. And then my skin got a little drier. Powder foundation didn't really work for me so much. But I'm going to use a powder now. I'm going to use my, as you've seen me use many times, my Smashbox Halo Hydrating Perfecting Powder, because I want to get that powder finish like I would have had in high school. I have to say, I was definitely lucky enough to have discovered and to have been able to afford a nice foundation even back then. I'm sure the Smashbox gives me a lot lighter coverage than I would have gotten from the dual finish foundation, but I don't have any zits to cover up anymore, so there's one bonus of being older. I can handle the lighter coverage. Now, I would have put on my powder, and then I would have done blush. And I know, I think I had a Clinique blush. My mom was all Clinique, that's all she used, so I probably got it from one of her free gifts. And it was, you know, sort of a earthy rose kind of color, and I do not have a blush like that, but I'm going to sort of mix these two blushes. This is the closest but it's a little more brown than I want, so I'm just going to mix in a little of the pink. And this is just a little Stila palette. And I just put it on the apples of my cheeks. Oh, this is a good mix. It's not shimmery. I know the blush I used then wasn't shimmery. One thing I always did ever since I started wearing makeup was filling in my brows. And I'm sure I would have never started doing that if I hadn't seen my mother do it since as long as I can remember. I think I bought the Maybelline used to make a little brow powder, and it looked like their eyeshadow singles, and they made this product for a long time. I used it for a long time, and I looked for it in the past few weeks, and I think it's gone. I think it's finally gone. But I am going to use my CoverGirl Shadow Single in Brown Smolder angled brush, because I did use the little angled brush that came with the Maybelline powder. And just, I guess, as I've done since I started using makeup, just patting the powder onto my brows. It's also worth noting that I did not use concealer in high school, and I can't really tell you why. I mean, certainly I had more pimples, you know, than I do as an adult, but if I used it, I'm blocking it out, or if I ever tried it, I was disappointed and I just, you know, I didn't like it. So no concealer for this look. But this is kind of exciting. I did wear lipstick, and I'm sure I used, you know, different things at different times, but the thing I remember most is again, typical 90s, a very earthy, warm brown. I think the shade I'm thinking of had the word toffee in the name. I think it was one of the L'Oreal cream lipsticks. I can picture this kind of gold tube, kind of like the ones they still do today. And it was definitely an earthy color. So I was trying to dupe it, and I found this one by CoverGirl, and this is Hypnotic, number 220, and just like this is probably the first CoverGirl lipstick I can remember having for, I mean, I might have had one a decade ago, but I can't remember. I cannot stand the smell of this. It smells old. It smells like it came from the 90s, let's put it that way. Alright guys, that concludes my high school makeup straight out of the mid-90s. I hope you enjoyed that and found it kind of enlightening. I really enjoyed thinking about how much makeup has changed, and it certainly has changed for the better. Other things I realized is that we did not wear bronzer or highlighter. No one was putting shimmer on their cheekbones or their cupid's bow or their inner corners. So I guess you could say the mid-90s were a simpler time. And you know, I'm glad I didn't go too crazy in high school. I mean, I'm sure my under eye area looked a lot nicer. I'm sure I didn't need a ton of makeup at the time. But I really loved wearing makeup. I always felt my best when I did have my brows and my eyeshadow and my mascara done. And you know, I guess I still do. I would absolutely love to hear your high school makeup stories if you can remember exactly what you did, or anything that you remember about how you did your makeup in high school. If you didn't even wear makeup, leave a comment. And this isn't really intended to be a tag video, but if you make beauty videos or if you write a beauty blog, I would love to see how you did your high school makeup. If you want to talk about it, send me the link. I think that would be fantastic. And definitely include the year, so we can put it in some historical context. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything new if you haven't subscribed already. And thank you so much for watching.